Salazar. I'm Maria.
I'm George.
And I'm Jose.
And today we will be demonstrating how the American dream is shaped by language and culture.
Here are some interviews that we recorded asking for opinions about the American dream.
What does the American dream mean to you today?
Well, I think the American dream to me is having equality no matter what race, no matter what age and stuff like that. I think that everyone should have the same rights and I think we should all have freedom.
Do you think your parents achieved the American dream?
Somewhat I do think they have because, you know, we have our own house and they do have good jobs.
Thank you. Alex's idea of the American dream is equal opportunities and rights for all people. Her family achieved their dream by having a stable job and owning a home. What does the American dream mean to you today?
I think the American dream would mean to be successful. That's what everyone wants.
Do you think your parents achieved the dream?
I think my parents did achieve the dream. I mean, they might not have the best job, but they put a roof over my head and they feed me.
Eric's idea of the American dream is to be able to prosper in life, with a good home and with a supportive family. As long as they have a good living and they have achieved the dream, they are being able to provide for their family. And what is the dream all about? What does the American dream mean to you today?
To me, the American dream means that you're happy and content with the life you're living.
How do you think your parents achieved the American dream? Or do you think they did?
I feel like they achieve their own type of dream. It's not like the dream that someone thinks, but they live like a content life even though it's not easy.
Thank you. Andrea's idea of the American dream is that one should be happy with one's life and to have nothing but bliss and prosperity. Every person will have a different meaning to the dream, but with her parents, it was just providing for her family.
Okay, so what does the American dream mean to you?
To me, the American dream means that you start from the bottom and then you reach the top through a series of many sacrifices. And it also it embodies with education. So in order to achieve the American dream, you have to go through education and be able to achieve things that you never thought were possible for you. So many times there's people who come from lower class and they reach the higher class into opportunities where they can be able to have a carefree life, and they're able to go into the retirement plans, and they're basically set for life, and not only for them but for also the future generations. And through escalating the social class, they're able to build connections, and those connections stay with them for generations. So then the next generation that comes after those who have conquered the American dream, they're able to get those connections and elevate even higher than the ones before. So I think the American dream is one family member has achieved it, another person can always go higher, and now it has to keep escalating. But I think that it's very difficult to the next generation that comes along because they're faced with that hardship of having to be their future generation and having to be better because that's what's expected of them. So it's on an expectation.
Do you think your parents achieved the American dream?
I think my parents have achieved the American dream because my dad came from a family. He came from Mexico and he immigrated into the United States. From here, he worked as a cook for several months, and then from there he escalated and he went to when my parents got divorced, to trade school, and from there he received his certificate to be an insulator. Many people do it in 4 months. In 4 years, he did it in a year and a half. And from there, he was able to work at, he started off as an apprentice and stuff, and he worked at Chevron Refinery as an insulator, and then he reached up to be a supervisor. But then they closed down. He got another opportunity in the city of Los Angeles with DWP, which is the Department of Water and Power. So he's doing that right now. He's working a federal job. So I think he has achieved the American dream.
By Vanessa saying a series of many sacrifices, this means a person must give up or do things to achieve that goal. In her opinion, education must be present for one to achieve the dream. Education is the key factor that will allow you to achieve what you think is impossible. Future generations are dependent on their predecessors' hard work or social ranking. She also states that once the American dream is obtained by one family member, they would escalate the chance of success. Her family migrated from Mexico to the United States, which eventually led to hardships. He started off low, but soon escalated when he attended trade school and became what he is today. does the American dream mean to you guys today?
Alright, so the American dream, to me, I feel like it means, getting somewhere in life where you could be comfortable and not have to really worry about, worry about bills and everything. So you don't have to worry about like, oh man, I'm out of money and I need to pay this, that. And basically living a comfortable life and making sure your kids graduate from high school and go to college.
What does it mean to you?
What the American dream means to me is like being able, like what Brandon said, to like pay for your things without having any worries, going to the house with the roof over your head, food in the fridge, and like clothes to wear.
Okay, and do you guys think your parents achieved it?
What, Brandon?
I think my mom doesn't work, so my dad, I feel like he already reached it because, there's no trouble if I'll be like, oh, can I guess this? He'll be like, okay, yeah, sure, but he's never like, oh, watch out how much you spend and all that stuff. And I think he reached the American dream. Now it's my turn to reach it.
What about you?
Alright, to be honest, I think my parents have achieved the American dream because I go to a house with food, with like Netflix and like stuff like that. Like I'm able to ask my dad like for $5, like if I want some chips, or like 20 if I want to go to a bar with my friends. And yeah.
Brandon believes the dream means that a person should have financial success, to live the good life, and for that reason he thinks all shall attend school. Alex believes that by having the necessities as he stated is his idea of the American dream.
Hey, Mom. So, with the life that you're living today, do you feel like you're living your American dream?
No. One, because I'm not in a state, I've never had stability. I don't have a stable job. I don't have a stable home. And it's not stable for a mother of 6 kids.
Is there anything more you want to add to that?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Mother, for your time.
You're very welcome.
Annette's interpretation of the American dream is for one to contain stability. Hey, Janae. So what does the American dream mean to you?
The American dream is that every American gets the privilege to be successful.
And do you think your family achieved their American dream?
The 2 people I can think about is my brother and my mother. My brother because he owns his own business and he tried so hard to get to that. And then my mother as well because she went through a lot to become a teacher.
Thank you for your time. Janae's perspective of the American dream is that everyone has the ability and opportunity to reach success. Her family was able to access the dream through hard work and facing many obstacles.
What does the American dream mean to you today?
I believe that the American dream is that every American has the opportunity to be successful in whatever their pursuit is.
Do you think you're living, oh my god, I messed up. Okay.
You can edit it out.
Yeah. Do you think you achieved your American dream?
Yes. What my pursuit was after being done with high school and college, being able to have a house, provide for my family, and have a career. And there was nothing, whether it was the government or people that stood in my way to achieve that goal. The opportunities were always there for me to take and for any American to take. So yeah, I feel that I was able to take advantage of the American dream because I was able to achieve all those things that in other countries, people, the citizens of those countries don't have those same opportunities, whether it's home ownership, land ownership, whether they're in a caste system or some other type of system where they're stuck and they don't have the ability to do what they want to do in pursuit. So yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Mr. Gutierrez's interpretation of the American dream is to fight for their success and their prosperity, only if one fights for that dream.
Mr. Gutierrez achieved his dream through the opportunities he was given. He did not let anyone or anything get in his way. Unlike others who go through discrimination and hardship, he was able to achieve his dream.
Why is the American dream important important to investigate?
The American dream is important to investigate because it means something different for each individual. The ideal of the American dream is that every person has the opportunity to achieve prosperity and success.
Through the 5 texts that we have chosen, What is an American, Europe and America, The 4 Freedoms, Africa to America, and the Transformation of the American Dream, we will investigate if the idea of the American Dream will change due to the cultural beliefs and traditions as well as language and context. The first text that we're going to run through is What is an American by J. Hector St. John de Crevecoeur on page 28.
This fictional letter is explaining how a European is getting a glimpse of how the American life can actually be.
The prosperity of the European can be provided through this quote. Everything has tended to regenerate them. New laws, a new mode of living, a new social system. Here they are men. In Europe, there were so many useless plants wanting vegetative mold, and refreshing showers they withered, and were mowed down by want, hunger, and war. But now, by the power of transplantation, like all other plants, they have taken root and flourished.
This quote is stating that by coming to America, everything will regenerate, laws and the mode of living. But in Europe, there are too much difficulties that are impossible to overcome. This quote is basically stating that by a European coming to America, they are able to flourish and able to grow in the land of opportunities. They will be filled with many financial income and they will be able to grow.
Although European immigrants aren't as privileged as Americans, they are still seen socially higher than other immigrants, which provides evidence that they can still achieve the American dream.
During the time period when this text was written, most Europeans were servants under the king, which did not allow them to achieve the life they wanted. But moving to America did. They were given the opportunity to be successful and thrive.
St. John wrote in a way to persuade Europeans to come to America. He illustrates America as the land of prosperity where anyone can achieve success and they can be who they want to be. Some of the imagery that he uses is when he describes crops flourishing as Europeans do in another setting.
One of the 5 texts that we chose was a poem that is called Europe and America. It is a poem that is about a Russian immigrant family who overcame their struggles when they came to the land of opportunities. They started to grow financially and eventually they grew as a family and they started having prosperity. A quote that represents this about them achieving the American dream is, "My father brought the immigrant bundle of desperation and worn threads that in anxiety as he stumbles, tumble out distractedly, while I am bedded upon soft green money that grows like grass." The image of the American dream is shaped by his father working hard to be able to give the dream to his family. As it says how David Ignato is bedded upon soft green money, it means that his father went through so much to be able to give him the money and the growth that he can overcome because of his father. The social mobility of his father was very poor and very weak in his past life, but as he came to America, he was able to prosper and reach the dream after all his hard work and his struggles that he passed on his past life. The language is a lot of imagery that is shown here in the poem. A quote that shows how much imagery he uses is, "You have heard the scream as night fell, while I have slept as guns pounded offshore." The language is a lot of imagery. It shows how bad of a struggle it is for an immigrant to reach the American dream. It shows how hard he went through, as it shows as he feels knives falling upon his sleep while his son is living his life and being able to grow as he continues to get older. and he will be able to continue doing that because of his father that allowed him to have the American dream, as well as his other family members.
The Four Freedoms by Franklin D. Roosevelt is a speech that outlines 4 key human rights. The American dream was shaped by the American culture, which is our desire for equal opportunity. This allows the American dream to be obtainable to all people. This can be seen in the school here. Equality for opportunity for youth and for others. Jobs for those who can work. Securities for those who need it. The Four Freedoms gave no limitations to the people, which permits them to achieve their success. The language in this speech portrays the American dream as an opportunity that needs certain liberties for it to happen.
Another text we chose to investigate was Africa to America, a poem written by Phyllis Wheatley. She was a slave in West Africa and was brought to America in 1761. As time went on, she wrote a poem, and this led to her being the first African American woman to publish a book. Throughout the struggles, an African immigrant thinks that anything can be forgiven. The image of the American dream is shaped by their religious beliefs. Some view our sable race with scornful eye. Their color is a diabolic dye. This quote demonstrates how African Americans were treated poorly, and even though they received this discrimination, they made what's worth in America. These obstacles made it difficult for this social group to achieve the perfect American dream. As a result, not all African Americans achieved the success. The language that portrays the American dream is religious. It shows how God is their savior and he will allow them to succeed.
Now here's a short skit about Africa to America.
You'll never be more than a filthy slave.
Yes, sir.
Oh my God, Mila! It's that author I was talking to you about, Benjamin Willis! Really? Oh my God! Hello!
Hi.
Hello, hi!
Hi.
I'm Phyllis!
I'm Benjamin.
Oh my gosh, it's such a pleasure to meet you. I've been writing this book about my life. I wanna share it to the world. I want to be able to just share my experience with everyone, how I achieved the American dream. I hope
Let me have a look and I'll get back to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just a minute. Hello? You are the person I am looking for. Come here. Please come in. Sit.
Thank you.
Okay. You are an amazing writer, and I would love to have you come to my publishing so I could publish your book.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This is a dream come true.
Your story is going to be told to everybody across the world. Don't worry, honey. You will be more than just a slave. The next text that we will be focusing on is an outside source that we chose from the New York Times. This article is titled "The Transformation of the American Dream." It starts off with Donald Trump stating his opinion about the American dream to him. In his words, the American dream is being successful and owning a business. But it wasn't always like this. Throughout the years from the 1930s, the American dream has evolved in many different ways. The American dream shaped by the wealthy white American differs from the American dream shaped by the average immigrant because one group wants wealth while the other wants equal opportunity. The white American was born into these privileges, while the immigrant has to work hard to receive these privileges that are just given to the white American. The language portrays the American dream from different cultures by using different time periods. The 1930s to the 1960s was the opportunity for social movement, which increased the equality for all people. The 1970s through the 1980s was about owning a home, while 1990 to our present time today is success and one's wealth.
Basically, what this article is saying is that the American dream has evolved throughout the years by focusing on one's wealth rather than their hard work.
This results in the American dream not being accessible to the lower social classes.
To bring our investigation to a close, here is our conclusion.
By analyzing language and culture through the 5 texts that we have chosen, proves that the American dream is changing over time, and it will continue to change drastically. Every social group tends to create their own meaning of the American dream, because each group will experience drawbacks that will either limit or increase their possibilities of them achieving the American dream someday. The connotation of the American dream has changed throughout the years, leaving a reputation that each and every person needs to be successful. The stereotypes of the American dream are very standardized, meaning that the dream is only achievable for some people.
In the text, What is an American and the 4 Freedoms use a positive tone to signify the availability of the American dream to all people. However, the poems Europe and America and Africa to America contradict that availability. Both poems provide a narrative that explains their hard work and effort through discrimination to obtain the American dream. The article, The Transformation of the American Dream, meant more than the common meaning of being successful. Before it became that, the desire of achievement is once provided a social movement for equal opportunity. Therefore, the language of each text provides a new meaning of the American dream.
Every social group, no matter who or where they come from, all desire the American dream, to be able to prosper financially. However, each social group has different experiences towards achieving the American dream. Some are more privileged than others through the social class. Throughout the life of America, immigrants have always had it hard. They come to America in search of the American dream, but were subject to horrible working conditions and low wages. They were in search for a good job, good money, but most of all, an escape from the troubles they faced from their home countries. The culture that you or your family descended from will either benefit you or will be detrimental to you. In the text, Europe and America and Africa to America demonstrate how culture is affected by their predecessors. What is an American shows the European culture in the 1700s as very poor and discouraging, as well as unequal. By this, I mean that the king helped whoever was rich rather than the poor. The 4 Freedoms show the unequal culture between both Americans and immigrants.
Americans will be given more rights and freedoms than those who are immigrants who have to fight for them. In the article, The Transformation of the American Dream explains the culture through different time periods. It demonstrates how there's a drastic change between each social group because of their ethnicity. They have different beliefs that will follow them throughout their lifetime.
Each race will experience the different obstacles to obtain the American dream. Some will struggle more than others, and some will be stronger than others. Nevertheless, the American dream will be an ideal that will be carried on throughout future generations, and it will all depend on how we grew up and the beliefs of one to obtain the dream that is unreachable.
Now here are some bloopers.
Wait, what was I saying at the beginning?
Now this is a short clip.
Skip! Reset! I think we're close to finishing for the day. Yo creo como las 8 o 8:30.
In the time period when this text was written, most survey... Oh, I messed up.
Do you want to start another one?
Mr. Gutierrez's interpretation. What did I say? Interpretation. Okay.
Through the 5 texts that we have chose, what is an American, Europe and America?
Go. We won't stop it. Stop it. Okay. There.
What is the funny thing? What am I missing? What is so funny? What is so funny? What did I do?
We haven't been. I turned it on. Okay, let's. Well, what do you want to do? Look at him?
No, don't look at me.
Okay, well, look at. Okay. Do we just have a serious face or what?